Nobody can touch what he's accomplished. He's the best of all time.
A former British number one, someone who has spent decades around this sport, watching legends rise and fall up close. And he just said publicly the sentence every tennis fan has been afraid to say out loud. He fears Novak Djokovic's Grand Slam dream might already be over. Not slowing down, not facing a tougher road. Over. Stick around, because the reasoning behind this claim goes a lot deeper than one bad loss. And by the end of this video, you might understand exactly why he's saying it now. Let's set the scene. For 20 years, nobody has been able to definitively say the words, Novak Djokovic is finished, and be right about it. Every time he's been written off, after injuries, after slumps, after younger stars started stacking Grand Slam titles, he's come back and proven the doubters wrong. That pattern has repeated itself so many times that most experts stopped even trying to predict his decline. But something about this moment feels different, and it's not coming from a random online pundit chasing clicks. It's coming from a former British number one, someone with real credibility inside this sport, someone who has watched Djokovic's entire career unfold from a position of genuine expertise. And what he said this week wasn't a passing comment. It was a direct public warning that the sport might be watching the final chapter of Djokovic's Grand Slam story play out right now, whether we're ready to accept it or not. So what's the actual reasoning here? Because a claim this heavy needs more than just a hunch behind it. The argument centers on one brutal, simple fact. The gap between Djokovic and the two players now standing above him has stopped looking like a phase and started looking permanent. Since his last Grand Slam title back at the 2023 US Open, Djokovic has reached major semifinal after major semifinal, only to be turned away by the exact same two names, over and over again. Sinner, Alcaraz. The two players who have essentially built a wall around the finals of every Grand Slam for the last 2 years. And the specific worry isn't really about age on its own. Plenty of players have competed deep into their late 30s. The worry is about the combination, a body that needs longer to recover, playing against two rivals who are both at the absolute peak of their physical primes, in an era where those two aren't slowing down anytime soon. And this is where the argument gets hard to dismiss. Djokovic needed 5 hours just to get past Felix Auger-Aliassime at this Wimbledon, a brutal, grinding battle that would have drained a player half his age. 2 days later against Sinner, there was almost nothing left in the tank. Straight sets, no real resistance in the closing stages. That's not a one-off. That pattern, a hard-fought early or middle-round battle followed by a flat, energy-less performance against the very best players, has started showing up more and more over the last 18 months. And every time it happens, it adds more weight to the argument that this isn't bad luck. It's simply what happens to a 39-year-old body being asked to do something almost no one in tennis history has managed to do at this age. Here's what makes this specific warning land differently than the ones that came before it. This isn't coming from someone reacting emotionally to a single bad match. It's coming from someone with a long career of watching this sport up close. Someone who's presumably seen enough legends fade to recognize the signs when they actually start to show up for real. Before we go any further, we have to be honest about something. Djokovic's career is basically a graveyard of premature obituaries. After his early exits in 2017 and 2018, people said he was finished. He came back and won 3 of the next 4 Grand Slams. After COVID controversies threatened to derail his career entirely, people said his best years were behind him. He went on to win multiple more majors and reclaim the world #1 ranking. Every single time, over 2 decades, the people predicting his decline have eventually had to eat their words. So there's a very real, very fair question hanging over this entire story. Why should anyone believe this warning is any different from the dozens that came before it and turned out to be completely wrong? Here's the argument for why this one might actually hold up. Every previous prediction of Djokovic's decline came during stretches where he was still winning majors, or at worst losing to players in their absolute prime who would go on to define an era themselves. Nadal, Federer, players operating at his own generational level. This is different. He's now losing consistently to 2 players who are both roughly 15 years younger, both operating in what should be the most physically demanding matchups of his entire career. and both showing zero signs of slowing down. It's not one great rival standing in his way anymore. It's two at the same time, both getting better every single season, while Djokovic's body has less and less room to keep adapting. And here's the uncomfortable math nobody wants to say out loud. Djokovic is 39. By the time the next Wimbledon rolls around, he'll be 40. No man has ever won a Grand Slam singles title at that age in the Open era. Not one. That's not pessimism. That's simply the historical record, which means every single tournament from here forward isn't just another shot at history. It might genuinely be one of his last realistic windows to add to that Grand Slam total at all. Let's take the pessimistic case seriously one more time, because dismissing it outright would be intellectually lazy. The physical evidence keeps piling up. The 5-hour battles followed by flat performances. The consistent losses to two specific players in their athletic prime, rather than one aging rival trading blows at the same level. The historical fact that no man has ever won a major at 40 in the Open era. Individually, none of these things are proof of anything. Together, they form a pattern that's genuinely harder to argue against than the doubts he's faced in the past. And there's something else worth considering. Every previous comeback Djokovic made from a written-off moment happened when he still had a full physical reset available to him. Surgery, an off-season, a genuine chance to rebuild. At 39, the margin for that kind of reset gets smaller every single year. There's a real mathematical ceiling on how many more comebacks a human body gets to make. But here's the counter-argument, and it's not just blind faith. It's rooted in exactly what makes Djokovic different from almost every other champion in history: his adaptability. Djokovic has changed his diet, his training methods, his mental approach, and even his coaching team multiple times throughout his career, specifically to extend his window at the top. He's not someone who's coasted on natural talent alone. He's built an entire system around squeezing every possible year out of his career. Betting against that level of obsessive self-optimization has been a losing bet for almost everyone who's tried it over the last decade. And the "I'm not chasing anyone" response we covered earlier isn't just defiance for its own sake. It reflects a mindset that's carried him through every previous end-of-the-road narrative. Total, unwavering belief that he still has more to give, right up until the moment his body actually proves otherwise. So here's the real question. Is this the first accurate prediction of Djokovic's decline in a career full of wrong ones? Or is it simply the loudest version yet of a story that's been told and disproven more times than anyone can count? Because if this warning turns out to be right, we may be watching the final Grand Slam chances of one of the greatest careers the sport has ever seen play out in real time, right now, without most fans even realizing it. So where does this actually leave Novak Djokovic? A former British #1 has said publicly what a lot of fans have been afraid to say, that this might genuinely be the end of his Grand Slam chase. The numbers back up real concern, the physical patterns back up real concern, and the historical record is not on his side at 39 years old, heading toward 40. But betting against Novak Djokovic has been one of the worst bets in modern sports history for almost 2 full decades. Every previous obituary written for his career has eventually had to be quietly deleted. Maybe this warning finally gets it right, or maybe, a year from now, we're making a video about how he proved everyone wrong one more time. What we do know is this: the next handful of Grand Slams aren't just tournaments for Djokovic anymore. They're the answer to a question the entire tennis world is now asking out loud, whether he wants them to or not. So here's what we want to know from you. Do you think this is finally the real end of Djokovic's Grand Slam dream? Or is this just the latest doubt he's about to disprove, like he always has? Drop your take in the comments, because we genuinely want to know if you think this time is different. If you believe Djokovic still has at least one more major left in him, smash that like button. If you think the numbers finally don't lie this time, let us know why down below. And if you don't want to miss how this story actually plays out, because every tournament from here forward just became must-watch for this exact reason, make sure you're subscribed with that notification bell turned on. Thanks for watching. This has been Tennis Zora, and we'll see you in the next one.